Staffy is here with us. Another, a poor result this time round, and obviously a very poor second half performance. Talk to us, mate.
First of all, for everyone in the comments, I don't hide. I just got the link. So if you guys want to blame someone, blame KJ for being late on sending the link, because I saw my name spammed crazy in the comment. Where do I start? Do I say the same thing I said last week? Do I say the same thing I said all summer? This team will not work. It will not work. This team is overrated. We're not going to go for the league. I've said it. We are so overrated. We're not going to compete for the league. People said I'm negative. People said I'm showing my butt crack too early. People said I'm this, I'm that. We have seen it on the pitch. I predicted it before we even stepped a foot on the pitch, and now it's happening. So if what on the pitch is happening based on what I predicted, must mean that I know something, okay? I said last week, and I'm going to say it again, and KJ, you can clip this one as well. Saudi Arabia, if you are watching this, please set in a bid for Casemiro, because it's not going to work with Casemiro in the midfield. Yes, I understand he's being isolated. Yes, I get all that. I explained it last week. I'm not going to explain the same thing again. It's not going to work. This midfield is not going to work. People want me to go in on Mount. I'm not going to go in on Mount anymore. I never wanted the signing. I'm not gonna rant about something that I said it's not going to work. That midfield is finished. That midfield gave me 4 or 5 horrible games, including preseason, and I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to watch this midfield of Casemiro in the 6 and 2 10s. It's not going to work. They're too far away from him. They're living on his own. He's losing agility. He just looked like he aged 5 years over the summer. I'm going to be very honest. And it's sad to look at because Bissouma, world class. Bissouma's world class. Let me just say it here now. Bissouma's absolutely world class. And this guy is magnificent. The way he tore apart Casemiro today just shows me how great this player is. And I really wanted him in my team last season. So this midfield is finished. The attacking line is finished. We're playing the same 3 again that absolutely shit the bed in front of Wolves. I said what the changes would be, and I recommended to bring in Sancho just to at least unlock Rashford. Today, the space that Garnacho had, if you gave that to Rashford, he scores a goal because he had Pedro Porro on strings today. Pedro Porro did not look comfortable against him in the first half. So if you put Rashford on that left-hand side, he does a much better job than Garnacho did, but he didn't do that. I said, let's start Sancho. You did it all preseason. It worked. He didn't do it again. I got called a Sancho fanboy so many times just for saying he fundamentally does things differently in that front line than no one else does. That front line looked terrific again. Bruno, I'm not even going to speak about this guy because I'm so finished with him. So
when you say you're so finished with Bruno, what do you mean by that? Expand.
We're never going to win anything with Bruno in that midfield. I'll be very honest with you. I said it today on my stream, and I'm ready to start this agenda. Bruno, we're never going to win anything with Bruno in our midfield. As long as this guy's our main midfielder, we are never going to win anything. And I'll say that until the day he leaves that club. Okay, he has the technical ability. I've said that so many times. How many times do we go away from home and get battered because this guy can't keep the ball? I am so sick of it. It's not going to work. This guy's our captain now for anything, so he's not going anywhere for a long time. So don't expect this team to win anything. This midfield needs to be changed. This front line needs to be changed. Ten Hag, I said, for me to ever turn on a manager, I give a manager 3 strikes. He's on his second one with me right now. The number 1 was signing Mount. I'm not going to go in on Mount for people who want me to go in on him. He's just not the player that he's being used for something that he's not. So that was strike number 1, signing Mount. Strike number 2 is being persistent with this midfield, persistent with this 11, refusing to change it even though we see it's not working. So I'm on strike 2 with Ten Hag. I'm not going to go Ten Hag out like people want me to be over 2 defeats, but he's really walking on thin ice with me right now because he's not making the proper changes. We can sit here and talk about the chances we missed in the first half. Alan, you called me on my stream and you made fun of me because I said it was going to be an easy game. That first half, we should be at least up 2-0. And I expected this first half to be like that because we should have had the penalty. Bruno should be parrying that. What's his name? Garnacho missed a sitter really when he took that heavy touch instead of hitting it first time. So that's at least 3 goals that we should, the 3 chances that we should have scored.
You're not looking. Hang on. Yeah. So question, Staffy. If we should have been 3-0 up, why are you criticizing the manager's starting lineup?
I'll tell you why. Because in the second, I'll tell you why.
That's got to be the player. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if your team creates what you've just said, 3, 1 was a penalty, but 2 clear-cut opportunities that should make you 2 or 3-0 up. You can't criticize the starting lineup. That means it was right, but the players, their execution was wrong. I don't understand how you can.
I can explain. The first half is exactly what I expected it to be. So I said we'll find it easy because they will leave a lot of space, and they did leave the space. Now, them missing the chances is not the manager's fault. I get that. But even when I made my prediction, I said we're going to win easy against Spurs, which we should have done in the first half. And I said something very important that everyone wants to ignore. I said it will paper over the cracks. Everyone is not going to play against us the same way Spurs do. Spurs left us the space in the first half. They didn't in the second half. The minute a team pulled up in the second half and actually decided to play football, we had no answer. They ran that first half the second half from start to end, and we had no answers. The changes came late. The reaction from the manager came late. Some of these players I actually blame because they're so spineless on the pitch, and it just looks like we're going to have a similar away record to last season. So my final message on this, because I promised myself I wasn't going to rant today, but when I saw everyone saying I'm hiding, I had to come out and clarify why I'm not hiding. This team is too overrated. Wallahi, we will get nowhere this season if we don't make another signing, at least in that midfield. And if we persist with Mount playing in that midfield and that same 11. If we play that same 11 again, just don't expect me to even watch the game. I'm just going to watch the match reaction because I'm going to be hearing the same shit all over and over again. It won't work.
Staffy, can I say something?
Go ahead, bro.
I get the point that you should have scored 3 goals, but I think it's a very one-dimensional opinion to think that you should have been 3-0 up because we also hit the post.
No, I said one of the 3 at least, 1 or 2 of the 3. Yes, you hit the post, but you guys didn't create as many chances as we did. You guys had more of the ball in the first half, but we had the better chances in the first half. Outside of that, when you guys hit the post, we had the better scoring chances. You came out in the second half, and by the way, I bigged up your manager a lot. I bigged up your players a lot. When I said I predicted that score, I didn't say that's a disrespect to Spurs. I said you guys will become good later as the season goes. And you did show it in the first half. In the first half, it wasn't your best game. But in the second half, I don't know what Ange said at halftime, but he got you guys playing elite football in the second half. So this was never a diss at you guys, by the way. I respect what's going on in Spurs. But this is more of me relating how my team plays against your team or teams who have a low block. I knew when you guys give us space, we'll get more chances. We didn't capitalize. And in the second half, when you were a little bit better on the ball and you were more compact and you didn't give away the ball, we did fuck all. So it's going to be the story of the season until we change something. Alan, I see you laughing, smiling there, but it is what it is, Alan. You can have your moment, bro.
Alan, from your point of view, obviously there's a lot of talk of United, but from a Tottenham perspective, especially the second half, you came out quick. For some weird reason, Luke Shaw and Garnacho gave Kulusevski the freedom of the park. You scored, and then you really saw a change in your team. It was a completely different team in the second half when the confidence got up, the crowd got up, because Man United really silenced it in the first half.
No, look, before I go into that, Terry, just Staffy singing he shoulda, coulda, wouldas. We should have done this. We could have done that. We would have done this. It doesn't matter. You've done nothing. So you could have had all the chances in the world, but you do nothing with it. So it doesn't matter, mate. You told me on my channel that this was going to be an easy game for United. You also said that you have athletes in the midfield. Where were your midfield? You were nowhere. So
I said you don't have athletes in the midfield. Don't sit here and say that I bigged up my midfield. Don't lie. I never big up my midfield. So don't change it.
Come on, let me have it.
But just tell the truth then.
I just think you need to literally just be a bit more humble in the fact that what happened. But we'll get to that a bit later on. Look, that first half for Spurs reminded me of Conte ball. So awful, so slow on the ball. We were literally inviting people on, closing us down. We were just pumping it into the middle. You were turning it over, and you were all over us. You could have scored. Yeah, I'll give you that, but you didn't. The handball for me is not a penalty. 1.5 yards away, and it weren't out here or out there. It was a natural movement. He's coming back, and his arm's literally just by his side here. So it's a natural movement, not a penalty for me. 1.5 yards away. I've said it about all of them. I've said it about every penalty like that, so absolutely not. In the second half, Spurs showed what we did against Brentford for most of the game. We showed up, played the ball. Like Terry said, we pushed higher up the pitch. We made it harder for you. Your midfield was overran. Sarr looks like a baller. We just got to make sure we nurture him and give him more game time. Skip needs to just be out of this team. He's not good enough at this level. Stick with Sarr, stick with Basuma. You've got legs in that midfield. You've got people to play. Basuma has gone from Antonio Conte. If you ever watch this, stop playing fossil football with great players and allow them to play football, because Basuma showed what you don't do with him to what you do with him with Ange, and he looks a completely different player. So why don't you just focus on actually letting players play in the future? Coming back to Ange ball, like I said, Kulu I didn't think had a good game at all, to be fair. I think he was very lackadaisical. Richarlison is not the guy. I thought he could do a job for Spurs this season. Hold up play is awful. First touch is awful. We look better with Son going through the middle and Perisic coming on the wing. And even when Solomon came on, we looked better on that side as well without Kulu. Again, people coming on, like we're having to rely on Deadwood. Højbjerg almost cost us a goal. I don't know where you got the 9 minutes from as well. That was just ridiculous. How on earth you got 9 minutes in that second half? Like Fergie time, Ten Hag time, whatever it was, all added.
Bro, I wanted it to end. Why are you complaining about 9 minutes? I didn't want to watch 9 minutes of this shit. I was
Be
pissed
real,
as much as you are.
If you scored 1 goal before the 90th minute, the game could have relived, and then you could have those stupid decisions can cost a team. Be real, like 9 minutes, there was absolutely no need for that. There was like one VAR call that cost like a minute, maybe max 2 minutes. There was no reason for 9 minutes.
Staffy told me
a couple of people went down with heads, I think.
You see the Ten Hag football of Ajax, attacking intent and all that. You saw that, but when you saw a team put it on you, you did what you did last season.
I don't think you're listening to anything I'm saying.
End of.
You're not listening to anything I'm saying, Alan. It's like you're talking about my twin brother or something.
But you know what I don't understand, Staffy? And I need to ask you a question as a United fan. I don't disagree with a lot of things you've said, but are you really angry now at Ten Hag and the team because you gave it Billy Big Balls on the internet? This was going to be an easy win and we got beat, and now you're embarrassed.
No.
Again, I don't understand how you can think the team's so shit and overrated, but then predict battering Tottenham at White Hart Lane and making it easy. That's what doesn't make sense to me as a prediction, Staffy. I don't understand why you can predict an easy win if we're a shit overrated team with no team with no midfield goes away from home against a top team and wins. That's what I don't understand, G.
Because Terry, you don't need to be a good team to counterattack. And that's what we did in the first half. We did win the ball high up the pitch a few times, and I did predict that. But we created enough. You said it before the panel came on. You said we had enough chances to score. If we go into the half, I'll tell you something. If we go into halftime 2-0 up, is that a good result? That's a magnificent result, right? Do we go into the second half playing the same way? Are we going to be as expensive? No, we wouldn't. So if we go into the first half winning 2-0, as I said, and then the second half, we concede all the possession, but we're a little bit more compact because we don't need to step out and score again, then my prediction looks correct. I don't care about my prediction. I'm just explaining where it came from.
I understand
the chances
that.
were there.
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think in the first half we were an out-and-out counter-attacking team. There were lots of our opportunities where we built the ball. We built the ball up from the back. So again, I understand where you're coming from, but still, if I felt that my midfield was so weak that Spurs were going to run through it and we're an overrated team, counter-attack or not, I would never be predicting an easy win away from home against one of the top teams, one of the top 6, 7, 8 teams in the Premier League. Personally, I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from.